Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ladies Power Lunch. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, I was almost about to say that we're international today on our podcast slash YouTube show slash Facebook show. But guess what? I'm a little geographically challenged. And so we are actually not international today. Jackie, can you tell everybody where you're joining us from?
I am in Skagway, Alaska, and it is
Yay!
7:30 here, Alaska time
It's
in the
7:30 in
morning.
Alaska in the morning. Here in Connecticut, where I am, it's 11:30 in the morning. So, it's nice to see that we're having members join us from all different time zones. I'm looking at Marianne joining us over in our Facebook group from Texas, and we have members from Belgium and
Wow.
Switzerland and Sweden and the Caribbean and Canada. So it's just so lovely. We don't have any members from Australia, but we do have one member from New Zealand. So it's
I'm
really
willing to move, and
nice.
I'll be the
You'll be
person.
the
Oh,
Australian. Okay, that'll be wonderful. Hey, maybe I'll just move to Australia and then we'll take care of that. How does
there
that
we go.
sound? But it's really, really exciting to me that a small little group of women who came together to have lunch in a Ruby Tuesday on Route 6 in Bristol, Connecticut, 8 years ago has grown into this international movement of women who are really intentionally deciding that they want to support each other.
Oh,
Not
wow.
because I'm going to get something back from you, Jackie, or you're going to get something back from me, but we're doing the thing that women have been doing for millennia, and that is
Absolutely.
supporting each other because we are women and we are here. Isn't that
Absolutely.
amazing?
It is
I'm
amazing.
My
It is.
heart is so warmed just to see the group joining us over in Facebook, to be able to have you joining us all the way from Alaska. Yes, it's true. We're still in the US, but Alaska's a little ways away, right?
Oh, it is. It is. So up here, everybody considers if you, they say, "Oh, you're from the lower 48." I'm like, well, yes, I guess I am. So
Yes,
it's
you
it's
are.
you're a whole other world up here for sure.
How are you enjoying your stay in Alaska?
Oh my gosh, it is the scenery is incredible. It has been rainy. This is their rainy season. But it has been incredible. And Skagway itself is a tiny little town that was a gold mining town. And all the cruise ships come in here. So ordinarily they'll have five cruise ships at a time. So they'll have an influx of about 10 to 12,000 people in one day,
Wow.
just from the people coming off the ships. But because of COVID, they've only had one ship a day. So it's a much more relaxed atmosphere this summer. But yeah, but the people here are so kind and so gracious. And my nephew and niece and sister-in-law have lived here for years. So I'm coming to visit,
Oh,
help
how
out in their school.
wonderful. That's lovely. I want to say hi to Andrea, who's joining us over in Facebook,
Hi.
Mina, Marianne. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. So let's get down to business. Let's talk about the thing that brought us here today.
Mm-hmm.
Jackie, can you share? I know Jackie, guys. I love Jackie. Jackie's like part of my inner circle. I absolutely adore her. And
Okay.
I want her to share with you the reason why she is, as a woman of faith, so meaningful to my life, not just because of her faith, but also because of what it is that she does. Jackie, can you share with us who you are and what it is that you're doing in the world?
Absolutely. Thank you for, first of all, for having me on, Divya, and back at you. I mean, you are absolutely in my inner circle, and you've made a huge impact in my life. So I'm so grateful to be here. So I'm a financial advisor, but I kind of throw people off when I say I'm a holistic financial advisor. And they
What
say,
is
oh,
that?
yeah, they're going, I've not heard of that. What is that? And so I will say, I believe that my approach is unique. And that is, you know, you can't be on this earth for 56 years as I have and not experience some stuff that has challenged us. And so I've brought my experiences in working through those challenges and becoming at peace with my life, to my practice. And I want to support other clients, specifically women, to get through that. So I believe in what I call the triad of health, which is a financial, physical, and emotional, spiritual health. Because if any one of those is out of whack or left unattended, it has a severe impact on the other two. And we can go through example after example of that. But I think that everybody can relate to that, especially, let's just talk about financial. If you're financially worried about your life and it's keeping you up at night and you're losing sleep and you're stressed, all of that has such an impact on your physical well-being and your emotional well-being. And so therefore you're not bringing your best self into the world, and you're not living your best life. And I want people to live that best life. And so I can help with the financial piece. But what I've done is I've intentionally collaborated with other women who can help in the other two areas, such as yourself. Many of the women that are perhaps even on this call, part of Ladies Power Lunch for sure. And I've been so grateful to meet them and introduce them to my clients, because I want them to have that overall health. And it's super, super important to me for that. So I'm so grateful to be able to do that. And whenever anybody ever says holistic financial advisor, I'm like, yep. Because when we go through, for example, when we go through a cash flow analysis, I have what I consider the top line, which is the top section above the line, which is all the things that are necessary in life that we really can't exclude. We might be able to do some saving and tweaking, but we can't get rid of them because those are those things, expenses that we have to have. And then I have what I consider below the line, which are, things that if we really had to tighten our belts, we could get rid of. Well, guess what? Self-care is on that top line, that above the line. No, we don't cut that out. Maybe we can't have all of it, but there are things that self-care is imperative. And so that's how important it is to me to keep that in the budget as an item that we do not slash. Let's slash something else, but that doesn't go. So that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Jackie. I am wondering, because I know you work really closely with your clients to help them to achieve that financial freedom that we all dream of. And I was wondering, and I asked this question of pretty much everybody who comes on the show, if you could imagine that we're all your clients and you could just take us into a big bear hug and teach us one thing that would just help us along our journey as a holistic financial advisor, what would that one thing be?
I would want everyone to stop worrying about your finance, because that isn't going to help anything. That doesn't move us forward. So just stop worrying about it and come to a professional like myself or someone else and just walk through it. Because I find that so many people come to me and they're embarrassed. They feel that they're not in the financial condition they should be. And so therefore they're like, oh, I'm embarrassed. I don't want to show you. No, that's exactly the time you come to me. Let's work through it. Because 9 times out of 10, when people come to me and they've been worried, I walk them through and they breathe a sigh of relief because they're actually so much better off than they ever imagined. And then we just work forward and say, okay, what are the areas that need tweaking? So just stop worrying about it, because it doesn't, the effects of, again, those other 2 areas, just address it and we can fix it. There's nothing that isn't fixable and nothing that we can't do together as a partner. And I can say that I'm a partner with my clients and we work through all those little things that maybe need tweaking.
So, Jackie, what are some of the do's and don'ts that you would say to us about managing our money? What are some of those things that we should definitely be doing, but maybe many of us aren't? What are some of the things that we should be absolutely avoiding?
Well, I mean, it's super important. And I know nobody wants to have a budget and it feels icky and they don't want to do it. But I will tell you, the secret to financial freedom is to know where are your monies coming from and where are they going. And it doesn't have to feel restrictive. But if you don't know it about what that is, your cash flow, the ins and the outs, you will never achieve financial freedom. It's just a fact. So you have to do it, as awful as it might seem. And that's why I walk my clients through that. I come right alongside them and we do it together, because it's
But
always
we're
better.
afraid to look at the numbers, aren't we?
We're very afraid, but oftentimes you will, because we're sitting there going, oh my goodness, that means I can't go out to eat. Not necessarily. It just means maybe we need to be a little more intentional about when and where we go out to eat. That's all. Enjoy it more. And there's lots of other ways. And I come to my clients with so many other opportunities and ideas that don't feel restrictive. So for example, instead of going out to eat, have everybody come over. Everybody brings an appetizer or something, and you have a bottle of wine. And hey, I'd rather kick back on a couch and take my shoes off than having to sit necessarily in a bar or a restaurant where I can't be as relaxed. So things like that, where you're still getting together. We don't need to spend $100. You could spend $20. Things like that. But also very important to do is to keep track of your credit rating. That has a big effect on a lot of other areas. Even insurance, your car insurance and your homeowner's insurance rates are affected by your credit, which people don't often know. And they'll sit there and say, but how come, Susie is getting her car insurance for so much better and a much lower rate? Well, it could very well be her credit rating. So it's important to really track that. Plus, you want to make sure that nobody has gotten a hold of your information and started opening accounts. So if you don't regularly check your credit rating, you could end up with a mess. There are things that come on your credit rating that shouldn't be on there. The longer you wait to fix it, the harder it's going to be to fix it, because records disappear, your credit rating could be ruined to no fault of your own. So really, really important to do that. So cash flow, check your credit ratings regularly. There's a lot of programs out there. Even your own credit cards and other activities will offer free credit checking. And I get emails all the time, and I love to see, oh, it went up 5 points, whatever. It's encouraging, and that also encourages you. But we do need to check that. Some of the don'ts would be do not incur a ton of debt. Really try to keep that down. And if you are going to incur debt, make sure it's good debt. Credit card debt is horrible debt to have, because they charge enormous interest rates, and there's fees and so forth on that. So if you can try to avoid that, if you need a business line of credit or something like that, really try to work through your bank to get that type of a credit instead of just charging everything and running up your credit cards to a large amount. Because what happens when I see people who are really struggling, when I look at their monthly payments, their minimums they're just covering the interest. They're never getting ahead, and they're not going to be able to pay that down. So when you have these really high debt ratios, it's harder for you to then start saving for retirement. So try to avoid that in the first place. Try to say, I would like to go on vacation, so I'm going to plan ahead for that. I'm going to start a savings account just for vacation, and start funding it as much as possible without charging it. Or if you're going to charge it, have a way to pay it off. Don't just keep letting these things add up. Those are the biggest kind of keys. And start saving early. Save $50. It doesn't matter. Just start saving, because once you start, you're building a habit. And Davia, you are key on that in just wellness. We have to build in good habits, wellness habits. It's the same here. Build good financial habits by starting to save $50 a month. Just start there. That's what, 5 coffees, maybe 6 coffees, 7 coffees, depending on whether you get a latte and all that. So I would say those are the key.
It's interesting that you raise the idea of credit cards, because I've spoken to a lot of women entrepreneurs, small business owners. A lot of people start their business or even fund their business using credit cards. And then they find themselves later down the line in a little bit of trouble with credit card debt. if you're already there, if we're talking about somebody who's watching us right now, who's already feeling that anxiety, and you're saying things like, look at your numbers and don't worry about your finances, contact a financial advisor. If they're in that place where they're already in debt, what advice do you have for them?
Well, that's exactly when we look at what do you have going on in your expenses, and then we can tighten our belts. There's always room for tightening, and then you shift those dollars to aggressively pay off those credit cards. And if need be, there are depending on how your credit is, you may be able to shift it to a 0% credit. You know, they always have these offers out there. So if your credit is still good, that would be one opportunity, is to shift it so you're not paying 22, 23% interest, so that when you're actually paying it off, you're paying that principal amount. But if you can't, that's okay. We'll get it down, but we need to come up with a plan of attack for doing so. We can't put our head in the sand and take the bill and set it over here every month and go, well, okay, I'll deal with that next month. Or when they call saying, you know, how come you haven't paid the minimum or whatever? There's ways for us to take care of that, but you need a partner to do that, because it's daunting and it's scary and it feels, quite frankly, icky to do by yourself. It's better to have a partner, and I'm happy to be that partner with them.
It's definitely better to have a partner. You know, my theme and my motto, the thing that I keep saying that bores everybody to tears, is always collaboration. You don't have to
Absolutely.
do this alone. There is an opportunity for you to be supported, and being supported by a professional, that seems to me to be the best way to go. I am wondering though, for those of us who might be, you know, we've been running our businesses for a while. We have certain sort of responsibilities as far as taxes go. What advice do you have for us in terms of maybe things like the tax structure of our businesses, or setting ourselves up ahead of time to make sure that we're keeping our money instead of overpaying on taxes?
So, I mean, the best thing to do is, if you are actually in a situation which, if you are having a tax, if you're paying taxes, that means you're in a profit situation, which is awesome. So if you're in a profit situation, yes, we love that. So if you're in a profit situation, then what you want to do is, if you're not already saving for retirement, that's one of the best ways to start diverting some of those dollars, rather than having them sitting in your savings account or what have you. And we can get into that that's a whole nother thing, is making sure we have enough liquid savings for a rainy day. However, there are numerous different types of retirement plans depending on where you're at in your business practice and how much you need to be putting away. And I can work with your accountant to decide what plan is best for you at this moment. And you may start with just an IRA, or then move into what's called a simplified employee pension, or a SEP IRA, as your business. As you are able to set more money away, we grow that retirement plan. And then eventually you may get to a point where you can actually have a full-fledged 401k plan. So there's a lot of things that we can be doing to help with that. The other thing is to just, we need to be looking at what kinds of business expenses can be paid through, say, payroll or things like that. So if you have, I don't want to get too deep in it, but there's a lot of employee benefit types of things that we can do that can actually help you provide benefits for perhaps yourself, but also your employees, that also will help you save on taxes. So there's a lot of things that we can do to shift the way you're spending your dollars to help provide for benefits and all of that. So there's a lot of things we can do in that way.
Beautiful.
And then obviously investing differently and with using different tools that are tax advantaged.
I love that. You know, it's not a coincidence that we're having these conversations about money right now, because we're about to head into the fourth quarter. And this is a time when we have to start
Absolutely.
making those plans about what is our tax situation going to look like for the year end? What are our business plans looking like for the upcoming year? This is a time of the year usually when I sit with team and we plan for the coming year. And so I thought it would be a good idea to bring on people like Jackie and bring on people like accountants coming onto the show to talk about that sort of thing. But there's so much richness in being able to be in touch with somebody who's a financial advisor. A lot of people think that it's something, though, that they're unable to afford. What do you have to say about that?
Well, one, I say you can't afford not to. I would not try to diagnose myself. I go to the professionals. That if I have something going on with me, whether it be
Oh, you don't go to Dr. Google, who doesn't have a
no,
medical degree?
no. So, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you really want to be intentional about your health, this triad of health, you need to solicit the guidance of professionals in those areas, so that you're making sure that you're doing it correctly. And also, what was the question? I got myself off track.
People think they can't afford a financial
Right.
advisor.
So there's a lot of different ways, and I will just share with you that, again, because I'm a holistic financial advisor, and I really want my clients to have this richness and full life. I don't have an hourly charge. I have the ability to charge by the hour and things like that, but I don't. I'm huge on education. So from that standpoint, I'm probably one of the best people to come to just to bounce ideas off of and get some education on matters. Whether you decide to work with me or not, at the end of the day is fine. I am really about educating and helping. And so I can assure you that, women can come to me and just start that process, and don't wait because you think you can't afford it. It's really, really important. And it is so important to go to professionals that have the expertise in all the areas that you need. That's why you have an accountant, that you have an attorney, you have doctors and so forth. So it's really important not to skimp, because if you do something wrong, it'll cost you a whole lot more later.
It will cost you a whole lot more later. You heard it here first, folks. The time, where does it go? We're already at 11:57. The time really goes by fast when you're having fun, or when you're talking about money. So my my last question for you, Jackie, is any final words of advice, final words of wisdom that you want to share with our amazing audience?
I really I cannot stress it enough. When I say don't worry, it doesn't mean just like, la, 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 I'm not going to do anything about it. What I'm saying about don't worry is put it on your calendar today. Today is the day that I make that change. Today is the day that I'm going to take hold of my finances. No longer are my finances going to ruin my day or rule me. I'm going to take control of my finances. And when you do that, you're going to find that the rest of the pieces of your life are going to feel so much better, because there's freedom. And I always say this, I'm going to have this, I have to reach out to one of our other members to have her help me trademark this. It's become one of the few, a financially empowered woman. And that is what I want for everybody. And you can't do it by ignoring your finances.
Can you give us a resource, Jackie, that can help us move forward in our financial journey? Can you share with us how people can connect with you to get started with looking at their money and being more responsible in that regard?
Absolutely. So one of the best things to do, by the way, is my website, which is B&L Financial Architects. It's www.blfinarc.com. If you go there, you're going to see something where there's a whole ton of calculators. We have, oh my goodness, we must have 50 different calculators on there. If you just want to start playing around, such as what kind of payments do I need to make to pay down my credit card? The calculator is right there. You don't need me to do that with you. I'm happy to partner with you. But if you just want to look and say, okay, one takeaway today was Jackie said to pay down my credit card. So I want to know, how am I going to do that? Go on to our website, find a calculator. And then my email address is jbaldwin@blfinarc.com. And I'm happy to set a time to just set up a chat with you. And I think, I always try to have people breathe when if I can sense you're upset, I say, here. And we talk about things that don't relate to finance to start with.
Do a finance meditation.
We just ease into it.
Have some finance crystals.
Right. That's right. I'd like ice cream, finance ice cream, whatever.
Some finance essential oils in the background.
Yeah.
Put yourself in that money mood.
Right. And honestly, if you have to do something scary, wouldn't you rather do it with a friend?
I would love to have somebody hold my hand instead of having to go it alone.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You'll never be ashamed. So many people come to me and they have shame. Get rid of it. Doesn't belong to you. Doesn't belong to you.
I think that's the biggest takeaway here. I think a lot of the times we might have some shame or some, hesitance around that whole idea of our money. Get rid of that. It has no place. It does not have a place.
No.
And reach out to a friend who can help you. And I know Jackie's my friend, so I do definitely recommend her to you. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Alaska today.
Yeah.
So excited that you could.
Really, really quick. We have two talking about collaboration.
Yes.
We have two big events coming up. October 14th is, I think this is our fourth session. It's been such a hit. We just keep doing it. So for Breast Health Awareness Month, I'm collaborating with April Beeman of Connecticut Thermography and with Carol Sakianis of Ruby Ribbon to talk about all things breast health. And then on October 28th, I'm collaborating with Naomi Rafalowitz to talk about creating your dream retirement. So this is really designed for women who are maybe 5 years out from retirement and really would like to know if they're in a good shape and good position for that. And it's a lot more than financial. We're going to talk about setting your purpose and creating retirement that's living. So we're going to live in retirement for 30 years. You might as well enjoy it.
I agree. Absolutely. And so many of us have been putting off so many things. I'll do that when I'm retired. We need to make sure that we're also financially empowered to do these things when we are.
Yes. Yep, absolutely.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jackie. This has been a great pleasure to see you all the way in Alaska. I'm just so tickled with the technology that's allowing us to do this.
I know. And all the artwork behind me, by the way, is my niece, and she is an extraordinary artist.
Wow.
So this is her gallery.
Well, maybe we should have her come on the show and tell us a little bit about what it is that she does.
I invited her to join LPL, so hopefully
we'll get to know each other. I'm looking forward to that with great anticipation. Thanks again, Jackie. I'm going to ask you to drop your website and your email in the chat in our Ladies Power Lunch forum so that people can reach out to you for a free consultation. And I look forward to having you back on the show. See you guys on the next show. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Have a great day.